What is going on, RP fam? Thank you guys so much for joining me for another video. It's Thursday, which means we have wide receivers, tight ends, and defenses for you. In this one, I'm going to go over the top 32 options at the wide receiver position. I'm going to try to give you guys all of the news, knowledge, and information you are going to need to crush your opponents and go out and get a monster dub in week 16. I am always available to answer your questions. Please drop those down below. I love to be able to help you out, and especially in this critical week, we need all the help that we can get. By talking amongst ourselves, we get better. Already seen some of that early on in this week. Let us keep that up so we can come to the best decisions and give ourselves the best chance at securing a victory. If you are brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing to it. Every little bit helps. We are on our way to our first 1,000. You can be a part of that by clicking that button. If you find yourself halfway through the video enjoying the content, a like on the video is greatly appreciated as well. It helps get Relentless Press out to those who have not seen it yet so that we can reach our goals together. I'm dropping 10 videos or more every single week. By subscribing, you make sure you do not miss a thing. With that all out of the way, let's hop into week 16's wide receiver rankings. At the top spot is my main man, Justin Jefferson. He gets New York at home. He has a real shot of taking down Calvin Johnson's receiving record for yardage in a season. He's balled out in 2 straight games. In him, he's racked up 31 targets for 346 yards. There is no reason for Minnesota to go away from him right now, especially against a reeling Giants secondary. To number 2, it is Tyreek Hill at home against the Pack. He just posted his 3rd straight top 10 finish, buoyed by a touchdown in each of those. He's now scored in 5 out of his last 6. So even if the yardage has tapered off, he has found a way to deliver for owners. The Pack are allowing just 23.4 points per game to the position. That is 4th best in the league. So we prepare for a little bit of a letdown here, but hope for the best. Hill can beat any matchup. At number 3, I have Stefon Diggs. He travels to Chicago. He has not been able to produce as owners would have hoped. Over the last 2, he's had just 97 receiving yards total. In those games, he hasn't scored or got inside the top 40. Thankfully, the Bears are here to right the ship. No one allows more yards per completion than Chicago does over the last 3 weeks. Up next, at number 4, I have Davante Adams. He has seen the magic fade in 3 out of his last 4 games. He does have a wide receiver 1 overall finish sandwiched in between 3 sub-30 finishes for him. Just like Diggs, the matchup here is going to help him get right. Pittsburgh will provide it for him. The Steelers are allowing nearly 31 points a game to wideouts. They've also allowed 11.8 yards per reception on the season. Both of those numbers are bottom 5 in the league. To kick off tier number 2, I have A.J. Brown up at 5. He's now gone nuclear in 2 out of his last 3. He posted another top 4 finish on 16 targets against the Bears. In a rematch with the Cowboys, he is going to look to best his top 12 finish that he posted back in week 6. I love his chances. However, if Jalen Hurts can't go, and that is looking less and less likely as the hours pass, he will drop a bit. Jamar Chase is in at 6. He goes to New England to take on the Patriots. He continues to see heavy usage. He's compiled 28 targets in his last 2 games. He is going to need all of the targets he can get and more against this elite Patriots secondary. They are allowing bottom 10 numbers to the position on the season. I am buying the volume from Chase. He's one of the most talented receivers in the league and therefore will find a way to get it done. At 7 is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He travels to Carolina. He's averaging over 10 looks per game over his last 4, and even without tutties, he has been able to produce for you. The Panthers have allowed 29 points a game to wideouts. That is 11th most in the league, so Brown is set up for a monster day. At 8, I have DK Metcalf, who's going to see even more usage now that Tyler Lockett is out this week. Kansas City has given up 8 passing scores over the last 3 games, and it just so happens that getting into the end zone is DK's specialty. I think he hits pay dirt at least once, and he helps try to carry owners to a dub. At number 9, I have CeeDee Lamb. He kicks off tier number 3. He brought in all 7 of his targets last week against the Jags, posting a second highest yardage total that he's had all season. He was held in check for most of the game the last time these two teams met up. But his floor has been solid all year long, so I am betting on the talent and his ability to make it 3 top 12 finishes in his last 4 weeks. To round out my top 10, it is Chris Godwin. He paid off my faith in him last week with a top 10 performance against a really tough Cincy squad. Godwin's upside is capped against the Cardinals. They've allowed just 7.8 yards per completion over their last 3 games. That is second best in the NFL, but we know Tom Brady is going to continue to feed him, and for me, that is good enough. At number 11, it is Jaylen Waddle. In that matchup with the Pack, he finally flashed that big playability that had been oh so elusive over the last couple of weeks. He took 1 of his 3 catches, 67 yards to the house. It seems like he's close to 100% now, so Waddle is a must start regardless of the matchup. To 12, the last wide receiver one that I have in week 16, and it is DeAndre Hopkins. He is not the same without Kyler Murray slinging it, but he is still able to keep owners afloat. He's done it over the last 2 weeks. The usage has been great. He's had 11 targets in each of the last 2 games, and I will take those targets from Nuke over most players in fantasy. The Cardinals are not going to be able to run it here, so Hopkins should dominate the target share and do plenty of damage with it. Tier 4 kicks off with a pair of Chargers. I have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams back to back. They are both great options against a Colts squad that just gave up 400 passing yards in a single half to Kirk Cousins. Either one of them could go off here, and maybe both of them do. My 15th ranked wideout is T. Higgins. He scored in 3 straight games as the premier red zone target for a high-scoring Bengals squad. His usage has fluctuated, which we do not love to see, and the yardage hasn't exactly been there in back-to-back games either, so he has more risk than we would like, but the touchdown upside he has is among the best in the league right now with how Cincinnati is rolling. At 16, it is Garrett Wilson. He settled in with another solid outing against Detroit, but it is clear that his upside is capped, sans Mike White. However, I do believe that even Zach Wilson can pick apart this Jacksonville defense. They're giving up nearly 30 points a game to wideouts on the year. That is 8th most in the NFL. I think Garrett happily exploits them if given the opportunity. 17 sees DeVonta Smith. He continued his hot streak with a top 15 finish against Chicago, and in his last 3 games, he has 292 yards and 2 scores, all of them being top 17 finishes. Smith has 8 targets or more in 6 straight as well. You have to love that volume, and I will buy it all day long in this offense, Gardner Minshew or not. Tier 5 starts with Scary Terry McLaurin. He travels to San Francisco, and he probably struggles, as most have, against this 49ers secondary. But if Washington is actually able to move the ball, it will be through the air. Scary Terry carries plenty of risk, but he's compiled 48 yards or more in 8 straight games, so I think the gamble is worth it at this ranking. To 19, we see Christian Kirk here. He saw double-digit targets for the first time since way back in week 10. An awesome sign. He used it to rack up 92 yards against Dallas. It will probably be a long day against the Jets' second-ranked secondary, but Kirk deserves the benefit of the doubt, especially with how well Trevor Lawrence is playing as of late. To round out my top 20, it is Mike Evans, who posted his single highest yardage output since back in week 8. It gave owners some hope that he can do damage against Arizona. He's seen 19 looks in his last 2 games, and he is more than due for a tutty as well. If you are not really feeling him this week, trust me, I'm an owner, I get it, but I am probably not leaving Big Mike on my bench with all of that upside. To 21, it is JuJu Smith-Schuster. He has to be considered a solid option once again, even in a brutal matchup with the Seahawks. Seattle has allowed under 23 points a game to the position that is 3rd best in the league, but JuJu has garnered 21 targets in his last 2 games, so I buy that volume from Patty's arm. To the top of tier number 6, and it is is DJ Moore. He bounced back after a brutal week 14 performance to post a wide receiver 13 finish against Pittsburgh. The Lions are allowing the second most points per game to the position on the season, and DJ is the only real wideout that Carolina has. He is going to feast at best and keep you afloat at worst. To 23 and back into my rankings for the first time in at least a couple weeks is Gabe Davis. He has not been what we hoped or expected this season, without a doubt, but I am in on him producing in this excellent matchup. He has shown that he is a boom bust option. He's gonna be that again here, but I think he has legit week winning potential in this game, and that is basically non-existent elsewhere this deep in my rankings. My last wide receiver 2 in week 16 is Christian Watson, who finally came back down from the stratosphere just as owners needed it most, mind you. Typical Packer, so I guess we should have expected it. Watson has seen 6 targets in 4 straight games, so the volume is not great. It means you probably need a score from him to hit, but Miami does provide that opportunity. The Fins have given up 7 passing scores over their last 3 games. That is second most in the league. Tier 7 starts with Michael Pittman. He's in at 25. He was able to pile up 60 yards on a whopping 14 targets against the Vikings. And Matt Ryan has been playing so poorly that he actually lost the job and got benched yet again. So it seems like a gamble to have him in your lineups. The Chargers are a bad matchup on paper. However, they have slipped lately. They allow over 12 yards per completion in their last 3. That is 4th most in the league. I think the volume is going to be enough for Pittman to make him worth a start. At 26 and falling down pretty significantly is Amari Cooper. He has not taken off as expected since Deshaun Watson has taken over the job. He's got just 10 catches in the 3 games that he has been there. When you consider the matchup here with the Saints, who have allowed just 7.8 yards per completion over their last 3, top 2 in the league, mind you, he is a hard sell as anything other than a risky flex. Chris Olave is next at 27. He has relegated himself to a solid floor play and nothing more, as the Saints offense continues to struggle week in and week out. Olave has posted 53 yards or more in 4 straight games, but he has just 1 finish in the top 40 in that time. To tier number 8, Diontae Johnson kicks it off. He picked the right time to peak. He caught all 10 targets last week for 98 yards against the Panthers, and it was his first top 20 finish of the season, and it comes just in time for you to consider chasing the points against Vegas. Johnson's floor is about as safe as it gets this deep, but you are certainly not buying a ceiling if you are playing him. To 29, Drake London is back in my rankings. He has received double-digit targets for the first time in the entire season, and he showed a solid connection with new rookie quarterback Desmond Ridder. London has always had the talent, but he has lacked the opportunity, and now that he has the latter, the chances of him taking advantage of this top 10 matchup are far from out of the question. I love his upside here. Number 30 is Zay Jones. He dominated Dallas, posting a monster 6 catch on 8 target, 109-yard day with 3 touchdowns to boot. He set the bar as the best wide receiver in week 15. If he won you your week, I get it. You want to continue plugging him into your lineups. Just know that if anybody is going to slow down this torrid pace, it is going to be the Jets. They're one of the most likely teams to do it. To tier 9, I have Darius Slayton at the top of it. Somebody has to light up the Vikings this week. That's what this comes down to, and Slayton is the most likely Giants receiver to take advantage of it. He is not a sexy play, and he carries plenty of risk overall in a poor offense, but I think he has legit top 15 upside against this secondary. The last wide receiver I am looking at in week number 16 is Chris Moore against Tennessee. He is an excellent dart throw if and only if both Nico Collins and Brandon Cooks are out this week. Moore has a 35.7% target share over the last 2 weeks, and if he is the only healthy wideout left, he is going to take advantage of a Titans secondary that's allowing over 34 points a game to the position, most in the NFL. A couple of wideouts that just missed my rankings include Brandon Ayuk against Washington, George Pickens against Vegas, Donovan Peoples-Jones at home against New Orleans, Adam Thielen against the Giants, and Marquise Goodwin traveling to Kansas City. And that is everything for today's video. Really hope you learned something and enjoyed the content. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, please drop them down below. I love to be able to help you guys out. Dropping questions allows me to do that. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed the content, and subscribe as well if you have not already. Help keep Relentless Press moving forward and growing. It is greatly appreciated. To all of my current subscribers out there, I wish you the best of luck in a critical week 16. Go get a dub for the fam, keep moving forward and chasing that chip. Keep an eye out for my updated ranking shorts. I'm gonna be dropping them on Friday night this week because we have games all day Saturday. I wanna make sure that that is available to you. This is Relentless Press. I am your host, Abraham Opatz, and I will see you next time.